Hi, friends. I'm so excited to have Saharsh Shah with me today, who is the Vice President, HR and Talent Acquisition with 88 Pictures. Something which is very close to my heart. Also, I've seen the media industry evolve, and 88 Pictures is something which is into animation and media and entertainment. They are one of those high quality animation companies which provides animation content to some of the biggest players in the market. And Saharsh has really had an experience which is across industries: IT, media and entertainment, healthcare, telecom. Interestingly, he's in the true sense a person who has transferred his skills from one industry into another as a senior HR leader. While talking to him, I realized that he has a great passion for keeping people above the processes, which is so interesting. Something very interesting that he always believes in is responsiveness. So I know that most people who are job aspirants respect companies and HR professionals who are responsive, and that is one of the biggest pains. But tali do haath se basti hai. It's like, it's a two-way street. But with him, he's kind of gone to the extent of giving a almost a kind of a norm that within 60 minutes there has to be a response if there is a post on their site or their LinkedIn company page, and he's very, very active. So I'm sure today's session, where we are wanting you people, all the people who are looking for jobs as candidates, to get great insights into what a true HR leader thinks, and how is it that you can fine tune your approach and really come close to the reality, because there are some things which you people also have to do. Let's hear it from Saharsh. So he's got more than 20 years experience. Please make the best of it, and I'm going to be asking him some questions which are going to help you as a job aspirant. So welcome, Saharsh. I'm really happy to welcome you.
It's my pleasure to be here, sir. And with you, talking to you, you spoke so you're very kind with words. Looking at what you have done in your career, as in, if I were to even emulate even 20% of it, I would be really honored.
Thank you.
We've worked with some amazing organizations from whom we have sort of started our day with, right? Indian Express, Hindu, Living Media, and it's amazing. Hats off to you and for your accomplishments in your career.
Thank you, Sarj. This is something which I really enjoy, which is primarily coaching job seekers. That's really close to my heart. And at this stage of my life, I really want to give it my best and give it back to these people so that they can build their careers in the right places. And thank you so much for sparing this time. So, Sarj, there are a few things that I have picked up during my coaching professionals. Some things come up and they find it very, very challenging. So, for example, I'll just start. What are those three things that you would look for in terms of work culture fitment of a candidate? Because that's something which most people find it very difficult.
Correct.
That culturally, how do I know whether I'm a fit or no? And that's where the mismatch happens. So as a HR leader, how do you assess that?
True. So see, culture is a very complex word. When we look at it and when any candidate or any person who's looking at an organization from outside in, it becomes very complicated to for a person to really understand what kind of culture is being followed in the organization and how the culture is in any company. But there are a few universal concepts that any candidate should look at, and that how we look at in a candidate, and when we are evaluating them for any position. Doesn't matter, it can be a position of a clerk to that possibly of a vice president. It doesn't matter, or a president, right? It doesn't matter. There are a few things which are very common. Like one of them is the willingness to learn. The willingness to learn should be there from the bottom to the top. For example, if you get stuck in something, if you don't know the subject matter in front of you, how open are you to research? Today, Google or internet has become a huge variety, huge trove of treasure. You can just, if you are able to research about the subject matter, you will be easily able to get your answers, and you can create your, you can enhance your knowledge by going through the internet and by reading more and more. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is today, every company is promoting teamwork. So there are a very few roles which are remaining right now in the corporate framework, which are individual players or work only in silos. Most of the roles that we look at, or which are existing in the corporate framework or any organization framework, right, are going to be a part of a team, either leading them or being a part of the team. that how open and how willing are you to be a part of a team and collaborate with them, learn with them, and sort of move forward with. Because if that's something which they are not okay with, then they should look for roles and look for companies which are promoting individual contributors. The third thing is importance of work-life balance. How open are you, and what is the importance of work-life balance in your life today? Because there are companies which you sort of look at the internet, you would research about the company, you would come to know that they are working for more than 10, 12 hours a day. Specifically, if you look at the media industry, like the media industry, look at the journalists and look at the other people who are always on the road and always trying to cover various aspects of the life around you so that they can get those news to you. That's not going to promote work-life balance. Vis-a-vis something which is going to be a job which is, say, for an example, a clerk. So a clerk is expected to work 9 to 6 and not beyond that, or a data entry operator or MIS analyst. So those roles are going to be a role where you will not be expected to stretch yourself and go above and beyond the job role. So I think that's where the job seeker has to identify with the role, with the company, and with the kind of product offering that they have. If they are able to identify with all of these things, they will find themselves a culture fit for the company. And that's what typically even I would look in the candidate, that how willingness, how open are they to learn? Can they work in a team? Can they go above and beyond the call of duty to deliver in case of a crisis?
Fantastic. So learning, working in a team, and work-life balance, all these three are important elements, which is so interestingly put, because these are things which, the work culture fitment is something where most of the people don't get a very clear answer. Whenever they appear for an interview, they say, I don't know what went wrong. So when they sometimes get a feedback that, you don't fit a culture, they feel very disappointed that where did I go wrong? So I think that's very important. Interesting. Thanks for that. What are the three qualities in general that you would look for in a candidate while hiring any talent in your organization? Three general and key qualities as per your organizations, so that they get a perspective even about your organization's requirement. What would be those three key skills or qualities that you would look for in a candidate, irrespective of the level, that they have to have that?
True. So I think the first and foremost thing is going to be communication skills. And when I say communication skills, it's not necessarily English. Like for example, in 88 Pictures, the majority of the talent that we hire are creative artists who can create magic on the screen. We have worked on projects like Troll Hunters and Fast and Furious, Above and Beyond, and Three Below, Tales for Arcadia. So that's the kind of magic that our artists have created on the screen. It's not necessary for them to know English, but communication skills actually means that can you get your message across? Are you able to understand what the opposite person is telling you? Are you able to absorb that? And are you able to also answer them and get your message across to them when required? And how are you able to put the message across? So it's very important to learn the art of communication skills point of view, because if they are not able to do that, then it becomes a problem for them in the future itself for maintaining their status quo in the organization, because they will not be able to absorb what their supervisor is telling them, and they will not be able to even give them the answer the supervisor is looking for. So that's one aspect. Second aspect is the preparedness. When a person is coming for an interview, I would look whether that person is really prepared for the interview or are they all over the place. Because sometimes, when you ask a question, the answer is completely different. And I've seen that even when I'm hiring something like a senior manager for HR, for hiring for a person in Bangalore for a senior manager HR role, it's very interesting to look at even people as senior as that to give an answer which is very tangential to the question that I've asked, and whether they are prepared for it and how well prepared are they. Like preparedness is nothing but understanding and absorbing the your own talent, that what have you done till now, what are your key skills, what are your core areas where you're very strong at, what are the areas where you're weak at. And it's nothing, it's not wrong at all to tell the person that I'm strong in this but I'm weak in this. It's not bad at all, because the opposite person can actually absorb that and be very transparent about that. Great, you've told me your weak areas, your strength areas, and together, we can work on those weak areas. That's what happened with me when I did my interview here in 88 Pictures with Milind Shinde, who's our CEO. Who's a CEO, and he told me very clearly that, if I understand these are weak areas, but are you open to learn, and are you prepared to take the dive, very importantly, and go all in. So that's the second point where, they should be prepared to take up the job. They should be prepared to know what they have to do. They should ideally go in the interview ready with what they are going to do in the first 90 days with three goals, at least three goals. That these are the three goals that I want to achieve in the first 90 days. So that's the second aspect. The third aspect is stress management. When I am doing an interview, what I would typically see is whether they're getting nervous or are they confident. If they're getting nervous in an interview itself, I would want them to relax and, take a deep breath and then sort of start talking and discussing about themselves. But if they are getting so nervous in an interview that they are actually losing their path and losing their way and talking about themselves, then it becomes a scenario where they are not able to take stress at all. And if they are not able to take that stress in an interview, I'm not sure how good they will be when the real tasks which are allocated to them, and how good will they deliver that. So that's the three aspects of it.
Fantastic.
Already.
Very interestingly, Saharsh, what you mentioned is, very few people as interviewers would appreciate that there can also be nervousness, which is human. And if at all one observes nervousness, you give the opportunity to the other guy to relax, because that's empathy. That's empathy. So when you tell the guy to relax, perhaps his performance improves, and you might miss out on a good candidate, because one doesn't know. See, everybody's emotional management or managing of emotions comes across differently. Everybody is not good at managing emotions under certain circumstances. So if you give that fair chance, after that you might still reject him, but at least you gave him a fair chance. That's very good.
Absolutely.
I like the idea about the 90-day plan. So when you said, the communication skills, the preparedness and stress management, and when you're talking about the 90-day plan, it's a fantastic idea for somebody to give that confidence that, okay, this is what I will do in the next 90 days. It definitely gives a lot of...
And it can be completely wrong. When you are prepared in an interview, the candidate is telling the interviewer that this is my 90-day plan. It can be completely wrong.
Absolutely.
But what comes across in the interview is that this person has come prepared for the interview, for the job role, and he or she has done some research about the role and the company.
Oh, I can't emphasize much. What you're saying is so true. Preparedness for an interview is the key. There is no doubt about it.
There's no doubt about it. Absolutely.
This is an interesting one, which is coming from on behalf of many candidates, Saharsh, that if a candidate is jobless for, say, about 1 year, he doesn't hold a job for the last 1 year, for whatever be the reason, how would you as a senior HR leader view the candidate? Would you really hold him in the same light as maybe a candidate who's with a job, currently holding a job, versus somebody who's not? This is something which is very important, because most people feel that they become very diffident, that I don't have a job. I tell them your value is not lost.
Yes.
So what is your view?
Absolutely. So I would not hold it against the person, right? Because I think in COVID, that's one scenario where so many people unfortunately lost their jobs. And it was for no fault of theirs that they lost their job. But it would again boil down to the aspect that we just discussed. That's again preparedness. That even if they are out of a job for 1 year, are they still in tune, in sync with the current trends of the organization, of the role, of the work that he or she is going to do? Say, for an example, as an artist, right? It's possible that we were working on, say, any software. So one of the software that we use is Nuke for delivering our work. So there is a possibility that Nuke would have rolled out a couple of updates, and the way one of those updates must be drastic, right? As in something that happens in Android or something that happens with us many times is the OS changes and the whole UI changes. So it takes us also a few days to really browse through the phone itself and to understand the new features which have been rolled out in the update. So how prepared are they, and how in sync, in tune are they with the current trends of the role and the job and the company that they're applying to, and whether they have updated themselves? See, they might be out of a job it's something which is a stroke of bad luck or fortune, or call it whatever you may. But that does not mean that you can just sit down and just be completely down and out. It happens to the best of us. There will be a few days, months, quarters possibly where you will be completely sort of depressed and demotivated. But one day you need to understand that you need to keep reading. You need to be updated about what's happening in the world outside, specifically in the world in which they want to do a job and the kind of role that they were doing in the past. Like, say, for example, there's somebody from a finance, somebody's on the taxation side, right? So from taxation side, what are the new updates which are coming out on GST, on TDS? What are the new rates? How is the return being filed? What is the new? So just recently, I've just read that the whole income tax filing mechanism is going to change. And all they have got to do is keep reading. That's about it. And if they are reading and being prepared, then they will be able to answer, and they will be able to show that they have not been working for some time. They're still prepared and they're still in tune and in sync.
Absolutely. Very well said, because the message is that don't allow that jobless status to become so big in your mind that you lose the focus that you are actually going to add value to some other employer, and hence you got to do your homework and focus on that. What is the value that you get rather than your current jobless status? Saharsh, have the skills required changed over the last 2 years of the pandemic? And if yes, what kind of new skills have kind of come in demand in the last 2.5 years?
So I think post-pandemic, the way we work has completely changed. Like, for example, 88 Pictures, the way we are working right now is we were doing work from home for the longest amount of time, but we are shifting ourselves to hybrid model, where we are calling all the employees to office on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and it's a work from home on Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
But what that does is, people need to understand that they need to be flexible. Flexible how? There will be situations and scenarios where on Thursday and Friday, or if somebody's doing completely work from home, that they will not be available. Because earlier, we used to be in that mode of everybody's in the office, you can just walk up to them or take a chair and sit next to them and directly talk what is needed. Today, that's not possible, because that person today might be on a call with somebody else, and they'll have to wait for that call to get over and wait for them to get free and available to take up your discussion. The second is adaptability. How adaptable are you to take on the new normal that we are in right now? It's no longer a new normal. I think that's become a normal working scenario now, where whether you are able to sort of adapt to the whole new environment of hybrid working, whether you are feeling comfortable and you should be able to take on the new changes which have happened. And the third one is, which I feel very important, is collaboration. Because collaboration is something which is very, very important. And like I said earlier in our discussion, is most companies now, I think 9.9 out of 10 companies are focusing on teamwork. Because I think one of the unofficial acronyms of teamwork is together each achieves more. Right. So when that happens, if you're able to collaborate in the offline scenario where you're working from home, and you're able to work together with the team being from home, and you're able to deliver just as well, then that's it. You've got it. You will not suffer, and you will actually grow faster.
Fantastic. I think the teamwork part, what you mentioned, is very critical, especially in a hybrid environment. Very, very true. Saharsh, what are the 3 key things that you would look for in a leadership hiring position?
Primarily from a leadership angle, is a leader should be decisive, should be tactful, and should be transparent. I think these are the 3 aspects. Now, decisiveness is because today in the scenario that we are in, it should be either black or it should be white. Unfortunately, we have seen scenarios where there are a lot of leaders who like to stay in the gray. And that does not give a good message across to the team, where the team will think, oh, is it black? Is it white? Either yes or no. There cannot be a maybe in a decision which is to be taken, right? Like, for example, if I'm applying for a leave to my leader, the leader has to say yes or no. He or she cannot say, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. say yes or no, or take it up as a discussion with the person that why do you want to take a long leave, or why do you want to take the leave? Is there something pressing? Can you figure it out later? And so that's how a leader should be. They should be decisive. Somebody, in fact, I was not aware of this, but somebody brought it to my notice that I'm very decisive. And that was something which came as a very alarming thing to me also, that it is not something which I am portraying. It's just something which I am as a person.
Yeah, it's there
So
intrinsic in you.
it's very intrinsic. And when that happens, people love that. So they may hate it sometimes when you say no, but they will also love the fact that you said no immediately. And you did not ponder over it and kept pondering over it and then came back with an answer that no. So if the person has applied for leave on Friday and you keep thinking over it till Thursday, then that person actually can't plan anything. And then, the whole thing goes down the drain. A leave is just an example. Tactfulness. So tactfulness is something how we're able to handle a matter in a very tactful manner, which does not harm the emotional quotients of people. That's again where communication skills again comes into the fore, where if they are not able to tactfully handle a matter in a manner which does not harm the emotional quotient, is so important, because if they are harming the emotional quotient of a person, they will actually start thinking negatively about it. You should be able to put the message across in a manner where they will start scratching their heads and they should start thinking, actually, what he said is right.
Why did I not think about it?
Yes, exactly. And the third thing is transparency. Many times when we start, when we are not transparent with our teams about our goals, our vision, our mission, they will be loose missiles or a loose cannon. If the whole team is the whole team knows what the values are, the goals are, what the mission is, and what the team needs to achieve, and what is happening from top to bottom, it becomes very easy for the team to be in sync with the leader. And that really helps the team and the organization and the deliverables which are expected from the team.
Decisiveness is so important, transparency is so important, tactfulness is so important. And especially in an environment where, partly you might be, I'm saying all the more important when it comes to people who are in a hybrid mode, people working from home, how you are tactfully be able to
Yeah.
understand what the employee's side of the story is, and then as
So
I
true.
said, still be able to manage and deliver the results. That's going
So
to
true.
be very, very, very important.
So true. Because we don't know, right? If they would be working from the office, we can actually read their face and understand what's going on.
Correct.
Today, that's difficult. That's very difficult, because you would either have be on WhatsApp or on a call or a Zoom where the camera may be working, may not be working,
Correct.
and they would put on a mask. When they are in the office, they're in front of you at least for 9-10 hours, where you can read them continuously. So that becomes very important.
Very true, Saharsh. Thank you. Any candidate you recollect who stood out in the recent past, where he came to you for an interview and you really felt that, wow, I think this candidate used this or was such an approach which was so brilliant that you felt fantastic. I think we should hire him because of his entire approach towards the whole thing. What stood out in that?
So there was this one candidate whom we were interviewing for the role of a financial controller. And I had, from the myriad of candidates which I typically interview, I found this one candidate to be so much on point. And, he had actually come across so well prepared. He had done his entire research about the company in the last 6 years that we have been operating. What projects have we done? Who are our customers? Whom are we delivering with? All of it, all of it. And even the interview was very, very structured with him, where the answers were on point, not more, not less, just perfect. So many times, when in interview, we tend to sort of flow. When we sort of go with the flow sometimes, and we sometimes overflow also. So it's sort of pun intended, that we sometimes go above and beyond and try to oversell ourselves. So sometimes we need to also rehearse our own interviews and understand that whether we are going above and beyond. And because once you record yourself in an interview, when you're doing an interview, and when you see yourself talking and hear yourself talking, you will realize that you are actually going on and on and on, trying to oversell yourself. and that will actually work against you. So sorry, coming back to the point. And this person actually had a proper plan in place where he said that, that this is my plan for 30, 60, and 90. So even put the plan. He actually had come with a proper PowerPoint presentation that this is what I plan to do in the first 30 days, in the next 60 days, and a total 90 days. So that's what he came through. And after the interview was done, one very important aspect that most candidates miss out is asking questions. And, where they feel that asking questions, why do we need to ask questions? We know everything that we want to know. But it's so important because as a financial controller, the questions he asked was on point. Like, for example, he asked about how many investors are there in the company. Are we functioning on seed capital, or have we done some investment rounds or not? What is the philosophy followed by the members, by the leaders of the company, etc., etc. So that gives you an insight about how the interviewer is thinking and what the actual philosophy of the company is.
Fantastic. So preparedness, being able to present a plan, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and also being able to ask good questions.
Yeah.
Asking good questions is such an important skill, but I can say 99% of the candidates don't do that. They just feel that, no, I think they might kind of, miss out on an opportunity just by asking question, whereas it works the other way around. So I'm happy that it's coming directly from the horse's mouth right now, that you do like candidates to ask questions.
Question can be as simple as what are your expectations from this role? That's it, right? As in just one question. Even that will give you an understanding of the person from a perspective of what they are thinking about.
Correct.
And how they are approaching the role also.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks for that. How important are soft skills in your evaluation?
Oh, very important. I think very, very important, because I think soft skills is nothing like I think we discussed this earlier also. It's nothing but the art of communication and communicating your message across. So it's important right from a team member to a leader. It's important all through, because if it's also the art of how well are you able to connect with your peers, your team members, and the people to whom you're reporting to. So if you're not able to push your message across and understand what they are saying, it's a problem. Like, for example, problem solving, collaboration, motivating, coaching, mentoring, inclusion, all of it is driven through soft skills. And all of it becomes so much more better when the message for these qualities or these adjectives are delivered in the right fashion. And that can be delivered in the right fashion only once you really understand how to deliver it. And that is soft skills.
Fantastic, Saharsh. Excellent. And one last thing, what is one piece of advice that you would like to give all job seekers, which you think is so critical that you feel that if they do that, their chances of getting selected will improve? One piece of advice.
So I think the biggest piece of advice is don't wait for your dream job to open up. They should identify the industry. So this can be taken in two ways. One is for freshers, and one is for even people who feel that they're in the wrong industry after working in some industry or in some field. That they should look at the industry that they want to work in. They should research about the industry, what companies are working in that industry, what is the publicly available information about the industry and the companies, because today internet, like I said earlier, is a treasure trove of information. You can find out the SWOT of a company, the strengths, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threats to a company through internet. Sure. And you should be able to research about that. And then, once you're ready with all of that, and once you get a shot at an interview in a position for the company, you will be able to create so much more value. You will be able to create a value proposition for the interviewer that, this is what I know about the industry, this is what I know about your company, this is what I feel I can contribute to the organization. And this is how I can add more value to the company. Like, for example, when I applied for 88 Pictures, I already knew that 88 Pictures is an amazing culture, has an amazing practice of putting people over process. And my discussion with Milind and Abby, who's our COO, was the fact that how can I make that company or this company better? How can I do it better? And so that's the part, right? As in, if you already know about the company, you know what they are doing, and you are able to then create a value proposition for the stakeholders, nothing like it. That actually totally beats anything and everything else.
Absolutely. I think you're so right. That preparedness, and before you apply for a job also, you should start behaving as if you are already an employee of that company. And
Absolutely.
what are the kind of emotions and things that you will do, and what you get when you start becoming an employee and then you go for an interview. I think, you really start becoming like a consultant to that company in an interview situation, which is a fantastic thing. So thank you very much, Saharsh, for your valuable time. I really appreciate your inputs. I'm sure all our friends also who are listening to this would have got a lot of inputs and very practical ones from a leader like you. So thank you once again, and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Bye till the time we meet
Very
again.
much. Yeah.